Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Jules. Racing back once again. No power cuts in Cheshire this time round, but I apologise if I keep winking at you. I've just had my first operation on the old eyes, and so I'm not winking at you deliberately. We'll see how we go. Right. We're going to reflect on the season, reflect on Valencia, that final round of the championship, and of course, we're going to have a reflection on the Valencia test. So it's a bit like going to the Isle of Man, wasn't it? I turned on to watch and it said it's raining. So I thought mist on the mountain in Valencia, but they did get out in the end. And as always, the warmest of welcomes to Dr. Martin Rains. Great to see you, Rainsy. Thanks so much for coming on. We're going to talk about your Christmas competition. Yeah,
yeah.
You're going to talk about it anyway.
Yeah.
No,
I'll confuse people with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. We got lots of other things to talk about. A couple of things for you to have a think of as the program goes on. Martin assures me he knows the answers, which we do at the end. The last 250cc world champion not to go on and ride in MotoGP. The last 125cc world champion who did not go on to ride in 250 because now Moreira's shown this weekend, the Moto2 world champion, he's going straight in to MotoGP. It seems to be the way of doing things now. So also listen about the competition around Christmas. Next week, Keith Huewen with his old mate Julian. So I'm just going to sit back and have a cup of tea because I'm not going to get a word in edgeways.
But the subject, though, won't be him and me. We're talking about...
it might. You don't think it will, but
I
might lean it that well. But yeah. We're going to talk about the Transatlantic Trophy, aren't we, Jules?
We are, in response to a listener suggestion the other week, and Keithy, of course, one of his first big breaks was being selected for the Transatlantic team, so he's pretty well qualified to enlighten us with a bit of context of what an important gig that was for a young up-and-coming rider.
And we might mention his spat with Barry Sheen, mightn't we?
We'll probably have trouble stopping him on that one. There was a great story that when they were doing the rider parade, by the way, for the Transatlantic, Sheen looked at Keith and said, "To be honest, mate, I've never bleeding heard of you."
Transatlantic Trophy. So that'll be brilliant next week. Rainsy, I think first race you ever went to, Transatlantic Trophy?
Absolutely, and it was very, very special. In fact, I'm not sure whether it was at the same one, Julian, 1972 at Alton Park.
Yes, I think it was, the Cal Rayborn year.
Yeah, the Cal Rayborn year, absolutely.
That was my God. I watched motocross, or scrambling as we called it then, anyway. And I went to a chilly Alton Park on my CB72 Honda.
Yeah.
And discovered that Harley Davidsons could go very fast indeed.
Yeah, with that particular rider on board, definitely, Julian. It was a bit of a special event, wasn't it?
Still one of my heroes. Barry won the 350s.
Yes, he did.
In his white leathers, I recall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think 250 and 350, he won a couple of races there. But didn't go he wasn't in the team because that was restricted to riders on a 750cc machines, I think.
I think it was four-stroke as well.
Yeah, might have been. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think Trevor Arson won the sidecar.
I'm not sure whether it was
so I'm glad you brought Trevor Arson.
Because we're the Flexi Flyers, Julian. I'm sure the Suzuki Work team with Art Bowman and Jordy Nicholas.
I've got the programme. I'll find it. Not now though, because we're
off, aren't we?
We're off.
I saw it at Mallory Park, and Carl Raven on that Harley Davidson. I will never forget at Mallory Park. Right, let's have a look at the socials. Guys, we love the podcast. It's great to listen to your expert insight into the sport we all loved. Mixed with nostalgia and your usual humour, it's like listening to Motor Racing's version of Last of the Summer Wine. Ooh, who's who in that one? Yeah. Seriously, though, great work. Please keep it up. In the close season, how about a few episodes where you give us an insight and memories of a particular race or event? Absolutely. I think that's a really good idea. Red Rider the Biker. Thanks for reminding me to pick up the books by Julian and the good Dr. Martin. Can't wait for the next episode. Thanks for the incredible podcast, gents, as always. PDC Red, coffee on Nick and Julian. Oh, thank you very much. Aditi 917. Can't wait to see how Toprak and Bulliger stack up against their respective teammates. Big week for the Superbikes next week as an alternative class as a road to MotoGP. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Right, let's get down to business, boys. Let's start with Valencia. And we have got the final, the third world champion of the year. And you found the Transatlantic. Cool, you did that quickly. You found the Transatlantic program.
On the bookshelf. And Martin's, of course, right. It was the first Transatlantic that was BSA trial.
Yes, they were. Yeah,
the Kawasaki's and Suzuki's were 2 strokes were out the first year we were there, but being beaten by the 4 strokes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nick.
Can we talk about Valencia now? Just forget Keith Huewen. Let's enter to the Transatlantic Trophy. Right, we have a new world champion in the Moto2 class. God, it was a long old ride, wasn't it? 22 Grand Prix. I think you deserve that, don't you, to be crowned world champion? And the first Brazilian, Rainsy.
Yeah, first Brazilian. We've had some good Brazilian riders, but not very many winners from Brazil, have we?
No.
But I suppose Alex Barros has been the most famous one. Anyway, I suppose spread it wider to South America. We've got a few champions there, haven't we? In Lovato and Johnny Chicotto that were from Venezuela.
That's right.
But no Brazilian, which is strange, really, saying Brazil have such an heritage in motorsport, haven't they? They're certainly in the car racing. They've got a great record, haven't they? So that's strange that he's the first Brazilian, yeah.
Yeah, great to see. And now riding the LCR Honda next year in MotoGP. That will be interesting to see. Yeah, and Bezzecchi clinched that 3rd place in the championship. He looked in pretty good nick, didn't he?
And the Aprilia, this is Aprilia's 2nd rider, let's not forget.
Yeah.
Certainly 22 races ago it was, because it's easy to forget there was no number 1 plate out there for 90% of the season. Because
did you think it ended the season as perhaps the best bike equal to the Ducati or equal best? It wasn't very far off. It wasn't very far off, was it?
Felt like it. Yeah. And I mean, with what Fernandez was doing, and the first session at Valencia, Ayagura is quickest. That was. You're not surprised to see Aprilia's packing towards the front, are you?
No. I think the challenge for next year for Aprilia is to do it every race. I think they've had in the past they've been able to perform well at some races, but not always consistently. But now, hopefully next year they will be consistently at the front, and I think that is the challenge for them to turn up every week and perform. Because almost the championships won on your bad days rather than necessarily your good days. If they can keep the bad days down and still finish quite near the front, hopefully there'll be a challenge from them next year.
Yeah, and especially with the sprint race as well, there's so many more points available, isn't there? And as you say, you have a bad day, you pick something up, it's a big help. So
it is, I agree, and that often happens, isn't it? You need to be there every week, challenging near the front to win the championship. Yeah.
Pecco Bagnaia, Johan Zarco. The first lap, was it, of the final race of the season? Just about summed up his year, didn't it?
And I can't remember a more soul-destroying season, frankly, than what Pecco Bagnaia has had to endure. On top of his bad luck and the odd mechanical problem, his teammate has stomped all over him.
Yeah, God, that really summed it up for him. I think he wants to get on the plane till, I don't know where, quite a long way away, Mexico, Caribbean, even further, and forget all about it for a few weeks. I think he deserves it. Been a wretched time for him. Yeah. And, Jorge Martin, I keep forgetting he's the actual, current world champion. I suppose you'd say that Marc Marquez is now, but He's had a terrible time as well, hasn't he?
He was always a bit injury prone. You know, he always felt like the last of the Rostrum or Straw Bales merchants when he was back in the small classes. And and some of it's been his own fault, and a lot of it hasn't. You know, it's just bad. But hopefully he'll be up the sharp end, as Martin said, every race next year as well. And him and Bezzecchi on a competitive, consistent motorcycle, with backup from the way Fernandez and Aguero are going, that's a potent force.
It certainly is. And Honda improving all the time as well. Yeah. We might have hope that the V4 Yamaha starts to pick up the pace. Make it really interesting.
We have to give them time.
I think that's the problem with it, isn't it, Julian? As an engineering project, I think they've made tremendous strides to be on the pace just about with the inline four that they've spent the last 20 years developing. To almost immediately be on the pace is fantastic. However, as a rider, if you look at if you're Fabio Quartararo and you want something better straight away.
There's a big so what there from the rider, isn't there? Yeah,
there is, absolutely. So what? I don't care what shape the engine is. I just want something faster. And if you looked at the top speeds, actually in the testing, the top speed was well down, even though the lap time was very respectable.
That's a very Yamaha feeling to that.
It is, but it's not just about lap times, is it? You need to give a rider the ammunition to win a race. And if Fabio Quartararo is riding his heart out and then just some Ducati riders blasting past him down the straight, it must be demoralising. And eventually you get worn out by that. So I think you need to be in the ballpark with the top speed, so somebody's just not flying past you every lap down the straight. Yeah. So I'm sure that, however, if that is all it is, if the motorcycle otherwise is very good, it's as much. I would have thought getting more power out of the bike, if they can concentrate on that, that is achievable. As an engineering project, I think that's achievable.
I always think back to Jerry Burgess talking about places like Mugello. When the Yamaha was noticeably. Yamahas were always slow through the speed traps.
Yeah.
Historically. But they were rather efficient everywhere else. Yeah. And Burgess used to say to everybody, me, riders, anybody who asked him the stupid question, well, you know, there are 18 corners, Julian, and one bloody straight.
A long straight, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We should get on to, before we eat up all our time, we should get on to the Moreira and how he'll do and Moto2 riders.
Wow, yeah. Well, it's going to be very interesting indeed. And of course, they did, although there was interesting, the test, wasn't it, on Tuesday. As I say, I switched on. I thought, I'm back on the Isle of Man. Sorry, no practice at the moment. Missed on the mountain. I think it was thunderstorms on the Monday, actually. But they all did get out in the end, didn't they? And the ones we were looking at, Moreira, obviously Toprak, and obviously Barrega, they did all right, didn't they?
Yeah. How do you think Toprak did it? Not Toprak, but Barrega did in the two races. I thought he was okay. I think if he'd done a bit worse, we would have been disappointed.
Yes.
If he'd done better, it would have been, actually, he's made a real impression.
It was where you expect a test rider to be, wasn't it?
It was, absolutely. It was that. But I think in the time, Toprak, I think, surprised me with the testing. He was ahead of, I think he was ahead of Miller and, wasn't he? So,
and Bulliger was way up the order in testing.
Yes, he was.
Makes you wonder what he has been riding and what he was riding on Tuesday, of course.
That's absolutely right. When they've turned the revs up for next, so he didn't blow it up during the race, and was a bit tuned down. Yes, that happens, doesn't it?
And just finally, we get away from Valencia. For the three of us, it was our last professional engagement, wasn't it? 8 years ago, that race in Valencia. So it's got special memories for us. But you went back, Rainsy, a year later, didn't you? And
I did.
you saw history being typical when you're there. History was made.
It was a great event, actually. It was, if you remember, I say it was a great event. It poured down. It was awful weather there. But it was good to go back just as I suppose a semi-spectator. I was still doing a little bit for Dorna at the time. So, yeah. And I saw in the Moto3 race. And I think we all thought for all time that Scott Redding would have that record as the youngest ever Grand Prix winner, because they were changing the rules and they weren't allowing 15-year-olds to ride. Now, Can Onchu got a special dispensation as the winner of the Red Bull Rookie Cup. In fact, his brother was second. I think they were first and second in the Red Bull Rookies. So Can Onchu got a special dispensation to ride as a 15-year-old in that final race at Valencia. And it just happens a few weeks earlier, he was riding in something like a Spanish championship or the Junior World Championship or whatever there, and it was wet. So he had the advantage going into that race, and he smoked everybody. It was absolutely fantastic. So at the last time it could have ever happened, it did happen, where he became the youngest ever race winner, and something that he will always maintain, I think, that record.
Scott Redding, I think we all remember that day.
Yeah, we do that.
And did Mark, I'm pretty certain, but you'll tell me if I'm wrong, did Mark Marquez claim his first podium finish in that race?
It was.
Yeah.
And it was also, I think Martin told us at the time, the youngest ever podium in Grand Prix racing.
It certainly was. The third man, was it Mike DiMeglio?
Yes, it was, I believe.
It probably was. And did he go on to win the world title that year, Mike DiMeglio?
Oh, pass.
Ooh, pass.
But he did win
he did win
yes.
the world.
And then went on. Now there's a rider who didn't progress up the. And found himself a very good new career in endurance and now in management.
Right, I didn't know that, Julian. Yeah, I think he did race in the 250s, didn't he? But without any success. He did one season, I believe, in the 250s, but didn't have a great success. Yeah. So we were talking before about the last person who didn't move up.
We're going to spill the beans now, yeah. Because we're on this. Right, the last rider who didn't.
Who won in the intermediate class, but didn't.
Did he win the 125 World Championship as well?
He did.
Yeah,
and he won the 250 World Championship in his first season, because I think he won on his debut in the class in the 250, and in the first season, and it was Manuel Poggiali.
Yeah, that's right.
Who never. So he's the last one, and that was 2003, and every other winner of the intermediate class, whether it's 250 or Moto2, have moved up the class to have a go in the top class.
And only Zarco waited to defend the title, didn't he, in recent years?
Yes, he did.
I think he did. I think Rabat tried to defend the title, but didn't quite make it.
I think you're sure. Yes. I knew when I was saying Zarco, I was. I shouldn't have said the only one, but it was. When Zarco did defend his title.
He did.
And Rabat didn't. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anybody gone back from MotoGP to Moto2? Nobody springs to mind, but saying Rabat made me think perhaps he did, but I don't think he did.
Tom Luthi, I think, had a go. He had a dabble, didn't he? One season, and then he went back to Moto2. Yes.
Yeah.
So, he had a dabble. I'm not sure whether there's many others, or if any others, to be honest. No.
No, it's a
rare.
You used to get it. You get it occasionally. Moto2 going back to Moto3, don't you? We've got a few of them.
Yeah. But in fact, Poggiali did that, didn't he? He went back to 125. Another rider comes to mind is Passini. He did a year on one of the, when they had these
the claiming rule. The
claiming rule. He did a season.
He did, yeah.
And then he went back to.
But and he still keeps popping up as a replacement rider.
Yeah. And a little fact about Passini: he was the last guy to win on his debut in the intermediate class. So he went from 125 to 250 and won first time out in 250. And nobody's done that the first time out in the intermediate class since Pacini did it in around about 2008. I think that was something like that.
Well.
Well, there you go.
I didn't know that.
Now, what about the 125cc world champion who never went into Moto2, well, or as it was then, 250cc class?
Well, I wanted to say Dirk Rowdies because I worked with Dirk for years on Eurosport. And he was a great 125 rider and built for 125s. And I don't think he ever even tried a 250.
No, Matt, he certainly never raced one, as I've got in the records. But I think it was a guy, he was very much against all his time in the 125, which was Sakata.
Yeah.
So he won the 125 championship twice, didn't he? He won it in 94, I think, and 98. And he never ever raced in the 250 class. So he's the last guy. So that's a long time ago before. And I think then it became a junior class, very much a junior class, wasn't it? To establish yourself in Grand Prix racing and then move up through the classes. And then, of course, we got the age rule.
Yes.
Some years ago, where if you were over the age of 28, you were thrown out the class.
Right out. Thank you. Right. What about riders in the past who never made the move, or others who made the move but never made it? I know Nieto, did he have one ride in the 500cc? I vaguely remember him riding a Suzuki that Parishina got him at Harama. Am I right or wrong, or don't we know, Rainsy?
I think he raced in the 500 class, and I'm not so sure whether didn't he borrow Marco Lucinelli's Honda?
I saw a photo. I saw a photo last week of Nieto on a Honda, and it had Lucky on the windscreen.
Yeah.
It was
Bit of a giveaway.
Yeah.
So I think he did do that one race, didn't he? On the, let me see. I'll do a quick check while you guys are talking.
Yeah, that was on the Honda Triple of Marco Lucinelli.
Yeah,
right.
I think he might have ridden a 500 at an event in Spain.
I think he did.
He did.
A non-world championship event as well, Nick. Which may be the Suzuki.
Yeah.
But I think you got it right. It was 1982 Arama. And he raced at Honda there. Yeah, he qualified 14th but didn't finish the race.
Wow. Tony Mang.
Tony Mang did do a little bit in the 500s, but really he was a 250 guy, wasn't there? In fact, it wasn't the norm necessarily to move up the classes. You had genuine 250cc racers like Lovato. Martin Wimmer was always the one that I remember. He was always good at Silverstone. The likes of Helmut Bradl and those people, Reinhold Roth, they were 250cc racers, and I always liked that because whenever anybody came in new, they had people to measure themselves against.
Yes.
Very good and very tough.
The guys that stayed in the smaller classes were usually the ones on decent wages, of course.
Yes.
Because you didn't... I remember Keith Huewen, since we were talking about him earlier, I'm not going to say it to his face, but he was very fast on 350s.
Yeah.
And could have been a contender.
Yeah.
But he could not make a living on a 350. He had to get on a 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, so, there is a bit of rosy tinted around the small bike specialist. You pick a career privateer like, say, Bruno Knoibuehler would be the obvious one.
Yeah.
Who I think raced everything from 50s to 500s. And whatever he could get and get a bit of sponsorship money and a couple of quid from, he rode it.
Yeah.
I think that was the norm. Being an Anton Mang or an Angel Nieto, being paid good money, and we mean very good money, by factories to ride their smaller motorcycles was very much not the norm.
Yeah, I think you mentioned dirt road years before.
Yes.
On that 125 HB sponsored Honda, I'm sure, knowing Dirk a bit, I'm sure he wasn't doing it for loose change.
No, a good Swabian. Any German listening will know.
I bet they were paying for the lunches and supper as well.
We could do my stories about Dirk's ability to keep a euro in his pocket.
I think he could perhaps even teach you Yorkshireman a thing or two.
World class.
Wow, God.
World class.
Praise indeed.
That is praise, yes.
Very quickly, in the car at Jerez, coming back, and there's a typical Spain. There's a sign that says Jerez that way, that way, that way, and that way.
Yeah.
And I'm driving, I'm going, and Dirk goes that way. Well, you're the world champion, we'll go that way, Why, Dirk? Because you don't have to pay the toll this way.
Dirk, took you 3 hours long.
Expenses. It does not matter.
It was good fun. We gave him a fair amount of stick in the commentary boxes.
Oh, yeah. But he was
very funny.
Did most of his own tuning on the 125 Honda. And his stories about him and Sakata on a last lap, I forget where, he reckons they hit each other 12 times.
Right, Rainsy, it's time for the Christmas extravaganza. Right. Dr. Martin's Christmas extravaganza. Right, what are we going to do?
Please help me out, guys, if I don't describe this properly, because it's something I've just sort of come up with out of thinking about past riders. So what we're going to try and do, guys, I think, is create a grid, a fantasy grid, a virtual grid of riders from the past. We call this Racing Back, the podcast. So it's not current riders. So they cannot be current riders racing full-time in World Superbikes or Grand Prix. So it's past riders, and you have to name the rider and the bike. So it's a particular bike you might like. So it's a rider-bike combination.
And are we looking for the best, as it were?
No. We're looking for our own personal choice. So if you particularly like, I suppose an example is, say, Colt Ballington fan.
Right.
You might not have thought he was necessarily the world's best, but you like Colt Ballington on that green Kawasaki, that 500cc Kawasaki. So you could say, I fancy Colt Ballington on the Kawasaki on my grid. Or if you're a Jamie Whittam fan or something like that.
How big's the grid?
We're going to have a grid of 36, so we'll have 12 each, Jules.
Right.
That's all right. And we'll go around the table. So you'll need a list longer than 12 because we might duplicate some of our choices. Indeed.
Oh my golly, yeah. Well, I'm going to put some in there you'd have never thought
of.
I've created my list. I think I've got about 25 on the
So this is the what I'd like to see. There is no other criteria.
Absolutely. So, and it could be on a 125, Moto3 bike, whatever. Yep. You assume for the purposes of this that all bikes are competitive.
Well, so Dirk's on my list for starters.
Absolutely. So Dirk, the 125 HB Honda. So it's nice if we can say the year and the colour scheme and what bike these guys are riding. So it's anybody who's not currently riding though. So and they don't have to be the best. No, they're the personal choice.
No, personal choice.
Yeah, that sounds like
sidecars included.
No, we're not. No,
I want to put Trevor Harrison on.
Twice he's been mentioned.
Is he paying you, Nick?
That is your clue, because that is now hit that klaxon. It's the 2-minute warning.
All right. So what we'll do, we're going to, I think, I've run 2 episodes, aren't we, Rangy?
Yeah,
one before Christmas to run through it, and one then that will go out over Christmas.
Yeah.
Poor old Rich, him who has to be obeyed, he's going to have to do that over Christmas as he unwraps his presents. And so just make him some really good fun out of it. And very personal choice. I think
very personal choices. And maybe if we have time, we can think of which circuits we would like them to race at.
All right, cool. We get
assuming all circuits could be made safe. So
Indeed.
again,
okay.
like
so I can have Suzuka.
So that's on my list as well, Julia. Yeah, Suzuki. Yeah.
Oh, there we are. Oh, Rainsy, great to have you back on, and we're going to
Oh,
have
it's
you
great
on
to be back on.
a couple of times and over Christmas. Think about that competition, everybody. Don't forget, next week it's Keith Huewen with Julian. I'll be drinking tea and listening and laughing, I think, because they've got some great tales to tell. Good to have you with us on Racing Back. The season has ended, but we're carrying on through the winter. We're looking forward to it. Thanks, everybody. Cheers, Dr. Martin Rains.
Thank you.
And cheers, Julian.